Good night, everybody. My name is Abadic Banshee, and welcome back to the recently deceased. Today on the slab, we have a game called Metalbringer. It's by the same people who did a samurai game I played at one point, which is the reason it kind of came across my radar. The company Playism, the developer that is of all these games, essentially, that are in this series, they do amazing work, some high-quality stuff. And this one found its way across my Steam feed today, so I wanted to take a look at it with you guys. The gameplay you're seeing right now on screen doesn't include any major spoilers, or at least it shouldn't, I don't believe. It's a lot of mech fighting, which is essentially what the game relies or like is based around. It's a very interesting, I would say, twin-stick shooter style beat 'em up. It's great. I've had a good time with it so far. The art style is very pleasing. On top of the gameplay being very addicting. I've easily spent a good couple hours trying to get some good footage and record all of this. You'll see on screen just how hectic the game can get, which is something that I adore in the roguelike genre, is that a lot of these games aren't afraid to go above and beyond and make things absolutely fucking wacky, which this game is, and it's amazing. Now, I won't talk anything about the story during the review because, as I'm sure you guys will know, nobody wants to get a spoiler on the story before even having touched the game. But what I've played has been amazing. I have, like I said, put a couple hours into it right now just to give it a good once-over and good look-over. But essentially, the way this game goes is you have a gameplay loop of spawning in, designing your mech out of blueprints that you've unlocked in runs. You take that mech out, you go on your next run, try to get as far as you can, earning more of these data chips. You'll see those little like rainbow colored coins that I pick up. Those are all D chips. They allow you, they're the currency of the game. They allow you to buy and upgrade new arms, new we call them apps that you install on your person. The apps being things that normally we would probably attribute to some kind of ability or a permanent unlock, like double jumping or dashing or not being interrupted during melee strikes. All kinds of things like that fall into the apps, and they are extremely helpful but not permanently unlocked unless you find yourself a shop and analyze the apps in game. It's an interesting unlock mechanic, which is using your D-chips in run is oftentimes more beneficial in the long term than it would be to wait and save these outside. There are ways to unlock parts for your ships to design back at the base. All of this requires D-chips in order to be able to unlock the blueprint permanently. Same thing goes for apps. It can be, from what I've seen, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a grind. And for me to get my hands on it the first time and really get the grasp of the controls, it took me a minute. It was not... The game tells you the buttons to press, but the game, the way it feels, can take a hot minute to get used to. If you know old Streets of Rage and things like that, think of kind of the same pacing to the combat. It can be very hit and run or even very combo oriented, but you have to know when you're safe to get in and when you're safe to get out, because taking excess damage to your mech is pretty heavily punished, because you're supposed to be able to take a mech and build it kind of from the ground up before you start a run, or at the very beginning of the game you'll end up with no mech to start with, or even just like a forklift, some like piece of machinery of like a actual like a labor equipment essentially, that will be your starter mech. Use it to destroy some of the weaker mechs, pick up their parts, mix and match the parts in order to make something that is combat ready. Once you've done that, then you get into the really nitty-gritty, which is taking your mech, destroying other mechs, and nitpicking the parts that you want in order to build the strongest mechs you possibly can. When building mechs, you have to take into account the kind of weapons you like, whether it's solid projectiles, beam projectiles, energy melee weapons, slashing, piercing melee weapons, chainsaws. There's a large variety of equipment that you can equip onto your mechs and then use in run, all of which I have enjoyed so far. Although I haven't seen the full range of things. I know there's homing weapons, there are missile launchers, homing like assault rifles, large axes, chainsaws, spears, lances, swords. There's a ton of things that I've had access to while playing the game, even the tiny bit that I have played. Sorry, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. I've had a great time with the game so far, although the game's controls were a bit iffy on PC, if I'm honest. I think the game should have a disclaimer to use a controller, because to be honest, I had way more fun, and all the content you're seeing on screen is when I was using my controller. When using a keyboard and mouse on this game, I found it very hard to get the inputs that I wanted, and everything just felt way more finicky to control. I just highly recommend using a controller. But besides that, the controls were fine. They're not amazing. For instance, if you walk with the left stick, there's no problem. You shoot where you're going if you have a gun. However, if the target's behind you and you want to shoot behind you, you have to use the left stick. However, the left stick is also what you use to shoot. I believe there's alternate buttons. Like I believe the triggers might also shoot, but the game doesn't teach you. It just says that square shoots. So when you use the right stick to aim, you are not able to shoot unless you use the stick, lock on, and then fire. Which, again, it's just a little bit needlessly complicated at the beginning of the game until you learn all your controls and everything that's available to you. Also getting a hang of the energy system. On the left side of the screen, you'll see that there's an energy bar. As you shoot weapons, as you boost around the map, your energy will be depleted. And if it hits the bottom, you'll enter a sort of stun state where you can be comboed easily and take a massive amount of damage, indicated by the stars that go above a character's head, because the enemy can also fall into an energy deficit. You'll see when I lock on to enemies or when I hover over them, they have a health bar, and then on the bottom they have a blue energy bar as well. So they have to play by some of the same rules that we do. All of this has been great, though, well implemented. It makes the mech fighting intuitive. It makes it actually have a level of strategy to it, kind of running around your enemies, weakening them until they run out of energy, then going in for a combo. I often like to opt for a machine gun and some kind of melee weapon in order to weaken them from a distance, get them into a knocked out state, and then rushing in to deal a heavy amount of damage. And that right now works great in all of the gameplay that I've gone through. You'll see that there's also some smaller guys on the ground. You do have the ability to get out of your mech and fight on the ground as just your person, and all of that works similarly to when you're in a mech and is very fluid, very good. You're able to fight mechs even as a person without your mech. However, it is very difficult, and I don't recommend doing that, but it is an option. Now, all of that, having been said, my thoughts on the game is that it is an amazing game. It's worth the pick up right now. I'm going to double check right quick what the price of this game is on Steam. Yeah, it's $18. I think it is definitely worth the $18. Right now it's on sale, actually, sorry. I guess when it is full price, it's normally $20, but even then, it's not much of a discount and not much of a difference in my opinion. I would still pay the $20 easily for the game, as I already have. And it's amazing. I really enjoy the game so far. Pay attention to your tutorials as you're going through. Otherwise, you may find yourself a bit lost. And take the combat easy. Don't be in a rush to finish the combat. The combat is difficult and will take time to learn. That's about all the option. That's about all the stuff I have to say about the game as of right now. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Very much appreciated. I will catch you guys next time. Of course, guys, take it easy.